what's up? My name is Jess. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a very exciting video, at least exciting to me. So in anticipation of the August release of Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer, I have decided that I wanted to reread Twilight for the first time ever since I was in high school. Back in middle school and high school, I read these books obsessively. I honestly could not tell you how many times I have read this series. It honestly means so much to me. I really loved it when I was a kid, and I thought it would be really interesting to reread it now as an adult and kind of see if I still love it as much as I used to. Especially in light of everything that's come out with it's cool to hate this book now. Like, people think it's really trash and bad writing and toxic relationships, yada yada yada. There's so many criticisms floating around on the internet. I really wanted to go back and see if I agreed with those criticisms or if I still agree with my teenage self who thought this book was the I thought it would be super fun to reread it. I am also buddy reading this with Kirsten from Kirsten's Corner, and she is actually reading this series for the first time ever. I think it'll be super interesting to see how our opinions kind of differ, or if they're similar, if we both like it, if we both hate it, like what's gonna happen. I'm so excited to find out. It'll just be so much fun reading it with her, so I'm really excited that I get to do that. So in this vlog, I'm going to be rereading just the first book, just Twilight, and discussing it with you and discussing my feelings with you. Let's just get into it. So I am actually already 25% into Twilight. To be honest with you, I love it. It is so good. I don't really understand where the criticisms come from. I guess I'm kind of biased, but Kirsten has told me that she's liking it as well, so I don't know. Where are you getting these criticisms from? You're just making them up. I'm actually trying annotating out for the first time too for this book, so I think that's really fun. I'm excited doing that. So I have now read the first 125 pages of this book, and overall I am really enjoying it. I think it is so fun. It is very compulsively readable. It's obviously not the next Pride and Prejudice or Jane Eyre or whatever is amazing and metaphorical and meaningful to the world of literature, but it is a well-written book, people. Come on. One of the very first things I noticed rereading this book now was that there's so much foreshadowing in it. Even in the first couple of chapters, it's like, oh my god, she already knew what was happening. It's like she's hinting at that she already knows what's going to happen all the way down the road in book 4. I'm picking up on foreshadowing that far in the future, which I think is so interesting because I feel like there's a lot of other authors out there, especially ones that get criticized for their books as heavily as Stephenie Meyer does, that just write as it comes to them and they don't have everything fleshed out and they don't know what's going to happen 4 books down the road. But to me, reading Twilight, it really seems like she had the whole thing planned out. There are so many hints about Bella not belonging, not being like other humans, and yeah, you think that that's Bella being not like other girls, but really it reads to me like she was made to be a vampire. So I just think that is super interesting and shows good writing and forethought on her part, on Stephenie Meyer's part. Also, one thing that I thought was interesting is that Bella immediately notices how Edward's eyes change, and she notices it and makes note of it multiple times, but she doesn't mention that she thinks it's all that weird. She really doesn't even do any much justification in her head of this fact. I just thought it was really weird that she didn't think it was weirder than it is. This man's eyes are changing color and you're like, oh, that's interesting. No. That's obviously very weird. Why don't you think that's weirder than it is? Also, why does nobody else notice that? I don't know. That's a little nitpicky thing that I thought was funny. On the same vein as the foreshadowing stuff, I also think it is so interesting how queasy Bella is at the sight of blood. It's just funny, I think, is what I'm trying to say. I also did not remember how much younger than Bella Jacob is. When he is introduced to her at the beach in the push, he says he just turned 15 and Bella is 17. I'm pretty sure she's 17 and a half, because doesn't she turn 18 soon? Honestly, I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, he's supposed to be the viable second love interest, but he's 15. There is a big difference between a 15-year-old and an almost 18-year-old, especially in high school, especially when the girl is the one that is older than the boy. Honestly, I just thought that was kind of weird. I thought he was just a year younger than her, and so that makes him even less of a viable choice to me because ew. I'm not Team Jacob, if you were wondering. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the first 25% of Twilight. I'm planning to update you every 50%, 75%, and at the end. Quarters, Jess. They're called quarters. And we will see if any of my thoughts change. Honestly, I'm really expecting to love this book, so if you're looking for a rant review, you're not gonna find it. I will try to find things that I think are funny or things to nitpick about, but overall, I do really enjoy this series and I'm really loving rereading it, and I honestly don't really expect my opinion to change. I'm just gonna be over here happy, sitting on my high horse, reading Twilight, and being unproblematic and having the time of my life. So yeah, that's the tea on that. I'm gonna keep reading and I'm gonna keep loving Edward because I do. So see you soon.
One eternity later.
I'm now a little over halfway through Twilight. I am still really loving it. To be honest, I still really don't understand why Bella gets such a bad rep. I think she is actually a very smart character. Her clumsiness is annoying, but there are people out there that are really clumsy. And I think that she's clumsy because she is meant to be a vampire. She is not meant to be a human. She doesn't understand how to use this human body. I really think that's Stephenie Meyer being really smart. It is supposed to be like that. She's supposed to be ridiculous. She's not supposed to fit in with humans because she's supposed to be a vampire. It's so smart. I don't know why anybody doesn't see that. I don't get it. It's great. I think Stephenie Meyer in general is a really smart writer. Like, I think she's always thinking about things and how to make connections, and it's well written again in the sense that it's just compulsively readable. Like, I want to keep reading it and I don't want to do anything else. As far as Bella and Edward's relationship goes, I can see where people think that it's toxic. The jealousy and the possessiveness and the controllingness. Like, I think those things can be toxic in a relationship, but I also think that they both know that they're there and that they exist and they acknowledge them. And the reason he is so protective and controlling of her is because she is vulnerable, especially being drawn into this world with him. She is prone to these dangerous situations, and like they talk about in this book, her number is up, meaning that she is meant to already be dead and things keep trying to kill her because her time is up, basically. And I think that is also another thing that Stephenie Meyer is being smart about, because her time is up because once she met Edward, she was meant to be a vampire, and he is prolonging it and drawing it out and ignoring the inevitable. And that's why she is in such dangerous situations. It's brilliant. This book is so brilliant. I don't understand why people don't see it. So basically, I'm just fangirling over this the whole time I'm reading it. It is so freaking good. And while I can understand where people come from when they criticize the relationship for being problematic, I still freaking love it. I don't see it as being so toxic just because I don't think Bella is as stupid and weak as people make her out to be. I think she's actually pretty smart. I think she knows what she's getting into. She knows that Edward is being ridiculous sometimes, but she also recognizes that she is in dangerous situations sometimes and needs to listen to him. So that's my thoughts on that. I'll let you know if anything changes. I doubt that it will. And we haven't got to the part about him like watching her sleep at night, which is definitely toxic and creepy, but also romantic as so sorry, that's my opinion. That's my hot take. Hate me all you want. I am having so much fun reading this and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. I'm not. So sorry.
Much later.
You're just so shiny. Alright, folks. Next update. Been watching too much Curtis Connor. So I am now past 75% of the way into this book. I'm actually on page like 400 right now, I think. And we are still loving her. We are still having a great time. So we are just starting to get into the nitty-gritty of this, get to the climax. It's very exciting. It's very nerve-wracking. This is bothering me. Better. So the 3 outside vampires have come in and they're like, Bella smells great, we want to eat her. So the 3 outside vampires have come in and crashed the party and they're like, Bella smells great, we want to eat her. And they're trying to get Bella out and she's really mean to Charlie and it's really sad. I hate when she's mean to Charlie because Charlie's the best character in this whole book series. He doesn't deserve that, but whatever, he's a forgiving angel, so he'll be alright. I really love Edward and Bella's relationship. I know that people give it for being toxic and whatever, and I can see what they mean. Like, Edward is a little possessive and yada yada yada, whatever. I already discussed this a lot, but the thing is, Bella also can hold her own and she does bring a lot into the relationship. Like, she is the one that comes up with the plan to get away from James, and it's really smart and everybody thinks it's really smart, and it works out pretty much until she goes and is stupid at the end. But like, I can see what Edward sees in her. I do wish, though, I made a note while I was reading, I do kind of feel like they went from 0 to 100 because they were like dancing around each other, and then in like the next scene it feels like they're saying I love you to one another. I want to be with you forever. I do kind of wish that there had been more build up to that. I think that did happen a little bit too soon. They're like at the restaurant, he's telling her that he can read minds and is a vampire and whatever, and then immediately like they're all over each other, 100% committed for the rest of eternity. And I just wish there had been a little bit more in the interim between that. So I definitely can critique it in that way. But other than that, we're starting to meet Edward's family a little bit more. I just love his family. I think it's so great. And I don't remember loving Jasper as much as I am loving him in this reread. He just is really funny. He's really kind and just aware of what's going on around him. He's very considerate of Bella, and like there's a scene in here when they're doing all these preparations to try and protect Bella from these outside vampires. He's like, you're wrong. Like, stop feeling like you're not worth us saving you. Like, that's a stupid thing to feel. He's just really nice to Bella. And of course we love Alice. She's so sweet and so funny and just so comfortable in herself and comfortable around everybody else. Esme and Carlisle are also great. I love them. Rosalie is definitely definitely my favorite. I really like Edward a lot, but Rosalie is great. I really respect her and understand where she's coming from in a lot of her reactions. Maybe it's because I know more of her backstory from reading the other books previously, but I just really enjoy her as a character, and I think that she's totally justified in a lot of the things she feels, and I feel like her feelings kind of get written off a little bit, but I respect a lot of her and think she is an awesome character. Those are my feelings as of right now in this reread. I am still having a great time, and I can't wait to finish up the last little 100 pages. I will let you know and do like a final wrap up at the end with all my thoughts, and it'll be a fun time.
75 years later.
Okay, I have finished reading Twilight, and does anybody want to guess what I rated it? 5 stars. For sure, it is 5 stars. I loved rereading this so much, probably too much, but honestly, if you judge me for liking Twilight, I don't want to be your friend anyway, so sorry. But in all honesty, I really thought that this held up even better than I was expecting it to. I did not go into it expecting that I was gonna hate it, but with everybody being so critical of it and saying it's so problematic, I just really thought that those things were going to jump out at me maybe, and I was going to have a problem with them as well. But to be honest with you, I really didn't. I really think that the people that give this book so much crap are really over exaggerating. I do not think it's as problematic as people make it out to be. I do not think Bella is as much of a Mary Sue character as people make her out to be. I don't think Edward is as controlling and possessive as people make him out to be, and I think that people just have this idea of what it is in their head, and that's what they're talking on instead of actually talking on what is physically in the book. That's just my take on it. I'm willing to hear other opinions. I can see where some people are coming from. There definitely is a vein of jealousy, controllingness, protectiveness that could be kind of toxic and problematic. I don't know. Personally, I don't see it as being a huge issue. I do think I can understand where and see where people are coming from, but I don't think it's enough to cancel this book or to say that everybody who reads it and enjoys it is problematic. Like, this is a book relationship. Like, I get it. He's a vampire. It's not a real relationship. You can chill. I also think that Bella gets a really bad rep, and I think a lot of that has to do with the movie portrayal of her. She is portrayed as very like weak and meek and annoying in the movie, but she's really not like that in the book. A lot of people complain about how all of the boys in the high school just flock to her, but that's because it's a small town and she's the new girl. Like, that happens in real life. Whenever a new girl comes to school, especially if she's pretty, people are going to want to be friends with her. The boys are going to be interested in her. They're not interested in the 50 girls that they have grown up with their entire life. They're interested in this new person. I think it makes sense. And I think like the insta love between Bella and Edward, I mean, this is a paranormal romance. It's supernatural. It's like true love, soulmates kind of deal. I think it makes sense for the book. I think it works well. And a lot of it has to do with like the foreshadowing in that as soon as Bella comes to Forks, she is destined to become a vampire. And that connection to Edward is part of that destiny to become a vampire. And I just think it makes total sense. I don't have a problem with it. Honestly, I don't really have a problem with insta love because me as a person, right when I meet somebody, like the first impression, immediately I feel like I can tell if I'm going to be friends with that person or not because I am such an empath and I feel like I'm kind of good at reading people. Like, that's just the kind of person I am. So insta love doesn't honestly bother me that much. I don't know if that's the reason or what, but anyway, overall, don't think that insta love is that big of an issue in this book. And then I know I have gushed about this in previous clips, but rereading this, it is so fun seeing the foreshadowing, because even when I reread this in high school and stuff, I didn't really see the foreshadowing as much as I see it now. I can tell from this book that Stephenie Meyer knew that Bella's destiny was to become a vampire the moment she came to Forks. Like, it's just so clear to me. And I think it's even cool because you can kind of see in this book too foreshadowing of Bella's shield power that she gets in the 4th book. Especially towards the end, there's this scene where she is in the hotel room with Alice and Jasper like puts his hand on Bella to calm her down, and she's getting so panicky that he actually is like trying to force her to become so calm that she goes to sleep, and she just rips away from him and is like, no. They didn't really address it at all, but I really do believe that a regular human wouldn't have been able to do that. And I mean, of course, there's the plot point where Edward can't hear her thoughts even though he can hear everyone else's thoughts. That's definitely some obvious foreshadowing into her shield power, but I thought that that scene with Jasper was really interesting, and I never really thought about it before like that. When I read that, I was like, man, she just like said no to this vampire's strong emotion controlling power. She just was like, no. And I think that that was foreshadowing her shield power, and I just think that's really cool. I think Stephenie Meyer is a really good good author and really thought through her series before she started putting it on paper. So overall, I really just enjoyed rereading this. I honestly think it holds up now. I still had so much fun. Some of the stuff is annoying and cheesy, but that comes with the territory in this kind of book. There's books that I read that were written this year that are annoying and cheesy. And this one, it's just so engaging. I just want to keep reading it the whole time. I really love the characters, especially Charlie and Edward's family. I love all of the different vampires and learning about them and how dynamic and interesting they are, and I can't wait to spend more time with them in the future books because I love them. Rosalie is my favorite. Also, this book made me really like Jasper way more than I have in previous rereads. He just seems like such a sweetheart and is just so supportive and just wants to help people, as just like all of them. I don't know, they're so great. I had so much fun rereading this book, and I can't wait to continue with the rest of the series. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little reading vlog and it wasn't too rambly and all over the place. I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I haven't started editing yet. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here. All relevant links will be in the description. Definitely stick around and subscribe if you would like to be my friend, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Everybody in this house is so loud.